Aloha nui kākou. Oʻahu o Julian Keikilani a ko. Aloha. I am Julian Keikilani a ko, a candidate for an Office of Hawaiian Affairs Trustee-at-Large position. I spent my professional life working to improve the capability and well-being of Native Hawaiians through education, retiring in 2015 as principal of the Kamehameha Schools High School on the Kapalama Oʻahu campus. In retirement, I have sought other ways to contribute to improving the conditions of Native Hawaiians, primarily through involvement in the Hawaiian Civic Club movement and in the Kamehameha Schools Alumni Association, currently serving as president of its Oʻahu region, which is the largest region with over 13,000 members. I am also president of the Quinipiʻolani Hawaiian Civic Club. In addition to the foregoing, I have served on several nonprofit boards, including the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts, of which I was vice president for 3 years, and I currently am on the boards of Kahuli o Haloa, which serves the Hakipuʻu, Waiahole, and Waikani communities of Oʻahu, and the Hawaiian Historical Society. These all display the importance of servant leadership to me. I believe that serving as a trustee in the Office of Hawaiian Affairs will afford me another key way to fulfill my lifelong commitment to servant leadership and to answer my life's calling to improve the conditions of our Native Hawaiian people. If elected, my priorities will be to work to ensure that OHA receives the full 20% of the annual revenues from the State of Hawaii Public Land Trust to which it is constitutionally entitled. To ensure that OHA's revenues are prudently managed in the pursuit of the major directions identified in OHA's strategic plan, and to listen to the voices of OHA's beneficiaries on issues of concern to them, and to serve as an advocate with the force of OHA on those issues. Servant leadership is so important to me that I pledge, if elected, to donate all of my after-tax earnings as a trustee to scholarships for the education of Native Hawaiians. For more information about me and my candidacy, please visit our campaign website at akolforoha.com. With a proven track record of service to Native Hawaiians, I humbly ask for your vote in the race for OHA Trustee at Large. Mahalo nui loa for your kind consideration. Aloha.
Hello, mai kako. I am Sam Kalanikupua King. Kalanikupua is the Hawaiian name my grandfather gave to me, and it means the chief with mana. My grandfather gave me this name as a reminder of my kuleana to serve our community. I was born and raised in Kaneohe on the island of Oahu. My 2 boys were born here on Oahu, as was my wife, whose grandfather served in the 442nd and is buried at Punch Bowl, a few yards away from my grandfather and great-grandfather. My family has deep roots in these islands, from my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Kalani Ho'oulumoku Kekai, a chief of Oahu, to my great-great-grandfather, who served as the Minister of the Interior in the Republic of Hawaii, to his son, Samuel Wilder King, the first Native Hawaiian governor of the territory of Hawaii, and his wife, my great-grandmother, Pauline Navihine o Kalei Evans, who served in the court of Queen Liliuokalani. To my grandfather, Federal Judge Samuel P. King, who authored Broken Trust, helping to expose the corruption at Bishop Estate, and to my parents, Sam and Adrian King, who are active attorneys of long standing in our community. It is from my family, and especially my parents, that I learned the value of hard work and the importance of community service above service to self. There are many ways to serve, however, and not all of them involve public office, so why run for OHA? OHA is rapidly becoming one of the most influential institutions in the state. OHA occupies a moral center because of its status as the elected entity meant to speak for Native Hawaiians. As such, the story OHA tells about Hawaii and America matters. The story I want to tell is a story of democracy, of equality before the law, and religious freedom. And this is a story grounded in the foundational history of our kingdom and our state. Kamehameha began the process of creating equality before the law with Ke Kalawai Ma Malahoi, the law of the splintered paddle, whereby he decreed that ali'i could no longer attack innocent maka'inana along the road. He continued this tradition by making John Young and Isaac Davis, who were not born here prior to 1778, into chiefs because of the content of their character and not the color of their skin. Kamehameha II, Queen Kahumanu, and Queen Keopuolani promised us religious freedom when they overthrew the oppression of the Kapu theocracy, and Kamehameha III began our journey to democracy by limiting his power as king with a written constitution. In that constitution, he enshrined equality before the law, declaring, God hath made of one blood all nations of men to dwell on the earth in unity and blessedness. Democracy, freedom of religion, equality before the law, these are the principles of government that I wish to preserve and pass on to my keiki. This history, my kupuna, my ohana, my keiki, all of it informs my positions on the sensitive but critical topics facing OHA today. Start with self-determination. As a native Hawaiian, I am proud to be Hawaiian and American. I believe that we as a people are part of the greatest democracy the world has ever known, and we exercise self-determination every year when we vote in our elections. I do not believe that OHA spending money on efforts to create a race-based tribe only for Native Hawaiians or to sever Hawaii from the United States betters the condition of Native Hawaiians. And it is OHA's mandate to better the condition of Native Hawaiians based on the ceded lands given back to our state by the federal government in the Admissions Act. What I believe will better the condition of Native Hawaiians is a focus on bread and butter, salt and poi issues facing Native Hawaiians today, such as early childhood education, housing, and jobs. Early childhood education means investing in our keiki, which means investing in our future. OHA should shift resources to this cycle of poverty-breaking policy. Concerning housing, it is no secret that Native Hawaiians and all our keiki o ka are being priced out of paradise. OHA should advocate for more mixed income housing for all the people of Hawaii, including at Kaka'ako. Concerning jobs, economic diversification is the key to bringing jobs to Hawaii. We can do this by embracing exciting low-carbon industries like our astronomy sector. We can perpetuate our culture of celestial navigation and natural observation while building world-beating projects like the 30-meter telescope. To find out more about my position on these issues, please visit my website at votesamking.com, and please vote for me, Sam Kalanikupua King, as your next OHA trustee at large. Mahalo nui loa.
My name is William Paik, and I'm running for OHA trustee at large. I was born and raised in Kona on the Big Island. I was very fortunate to grow up in a family that practiced Hawaiian values and lifestyle like fishing and farming. We grew our own taro and we pounded poi on a regular basis. My reflection of my growing years has prepared me for successes in my life. I have been married for 55 years and have 3 wonderful and successful children, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. I've had a successful career, president of 2 prominent local companies, and the chief operating officer for a large company here. I also have been involved in community service and activities for most of my life. Every candidate will probably have very similar sets of objectives for what they intend to do at OHA. I would like to provide you with a background and a vision that I can bring to OHA. We need to think big and see how we can help all Hawaiians. I am currently retired and can spend the time needed to work with OHA and make it successful and moving it along in the right direction. I would like to make a difference and make OHA an organization that all Hawaiians can be proud of and how it can benefit all Hawaiians. I think my background is important, the knowledge, the experiences that I have gained in the past 70 years. I am a champion for education. I spent 25 years at HBU teaching their night programs. While they are also served on the governance and curriculum committees. I spent several years with the Charter School Board overseeing charter schools. Currently, Kamehameha schools can only take a limited enrollment which only serve a fraction of the young Hawaiian community. There needs to be a focus on supplementing the education of our young Hawaiian children. I would like to see young people learning a trade along with academics. There are many high schools on the mainland that offer programs like this that we can think about instituting here. As a goal, we should offer scholarships to all Hawaiian children that are interested in pursuing a higher education. This is one area that should be a priority for OHA, and I believe there would be a lot of support from the Hawaiian community. My second passion is housing for our Hawaiian people. There are no easy solutions. Most of my career was spent in the construction industry. I also spent time with the Building Association of Hawaii as a volunteer and as a president for 1 year. Another area that I spent time in was with the board of a credit union. These two experiences helped me to understand financing, the cost to build homes, and the ability to purchase homes. What do we need to do to make this happen for the Hawaiian people? We have ceded lands, we get money from the state. These are the two elements needed to provide homes for our people. I know there are many issues on the table that need to be addressed, but this is a place that we can start. I would like to see more transparency at OHA. People on the street don't talk much about OHA and what OHA stands for. We need to put politics aside and put our energies on how we can help all Hawaiians. Aloha, and thank you for listening.
Aloha Pumehana, I'm Kalei Akaka. I humbly ask for your vote in my re-election as OHA Oʻahu trustee. I'm grateful to be in leadership at OHA, serving as OHA's chair on the Committee on Beneficiary, Advocacy, and Empowerment, working together, collaborating with, and partnering with our state legislators, federally, and with our counties. I am dedicated. I am committed to improving the lives of our Hawaiian people. And when we're able to further uplift our Hawaiian people, this benefits all of our Hawaiian community. Again, I humbly ask for your vote in my re-election as OHA Oʻahu trustee. So please remember to shaka and vote Akaka. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Jackie Kahookele Burke. I'm running for OHA Trustee Island of Oahu. I'm a small business owner, an entrepreneur, an artist, a musician, and have a master's in public health and a master's in urban and regional planning. But most of all, I'm like you, struggling to keep a roof over my head, trying to make a better life for my ohana, concerned for educational opportunities for my mokuna, and I strive to continue to hold on to my Hawaiian culture and my spiritual values. And I'm hoping for indigenous sovereignty to become a reality. My present position during this campaign will focus on dissolving the political and unethical divide used by the colonizing, political, racially white-based policies enacted by the U.S. Congress to designate that we are either 50% Hawaiian, entitled to federal and state benefits, or we are the other 49.99%, the not entitled Hawaiians. This is the basis of the Hawaiian Homestead Act and all the other intended fundings for the, quote, Native Hawaiians using the 50% blood quantum. No other standard has contributed to this genocide and destruction of our unity than the mindset of 50% Hawaiians divided among their own people. This is the main challenge of our lifetime, and it has got to stop with this term of trustees. The door only half open and using the strategy of denying all Hawaiians is hewa. The Homestead Association must come together to embrace us as one nation of one people and therefore reach out with welcoming arms to their own people. Connecting the serious and brutal policy, correcting the serious and brutal policy is the basis to address many of our problems. Having a home through Hawaiian Homestead as affordable rentals or ownership will help the socio-economic life of all Hawaiians. It can resonate through all the areas of low social factors, such as imprisonment, educational, healthcare, and spiritual strength. When all Hawaiians have housing, many of the negative issues affecting our people can be reduced or eliminated. Providing a constant roof and shelter, which means long-term housing options, will have a trickle-down effect on every aspect of life. Therefore, all monies from the state and federal funding will now be used to lift all Hawaiians. This will then increase the sovereignty of our Hawaiian people, because with housing, we can now focus on all the other challenges of our life. The most urgent message to everyone is for OHA to help to dismantle the racial divide imposed by the Homestead Act of 50% blood quantum. It is the most important policy we must change and become a whole nation of all Hawaiians. To allow this to stand is an insult to everyone. It blinds those who feel privileged to have immoral rights by a white supremacist, racially motivated policy to divide all and any indigenous people. What it does, it prevents unity and degrades the quality of life for the rest of us. Many resources are tied to the 50% blood quantum mindset, as when Indian tribes have casino revenues and greed blocks others by using blood quantum. This should not be our fate. We should stand together and make sure we all are without blood quantum. When we discard this heavy attitude, we can find more pathways to provide better shelter and housing via affordable rentals, ownership. When there is a pot that is shared and housing becomes available, the stress of employment without shelter, education without a roof over our children's head, and families can thrive if they know that they have a roof over their head for a long term. We are all 100% Hawaiians, no matter the blood quantum. Hapai au, hapai oe iluna kako. I lift, you lift, together we rise. Please support me, Jackie Kahookele Burke, for OHA Trustee, Oahu Island. Malama pono. Aloha.
Aloha mai kako. I'm OHA Trustee Brendon Kaleiʻaina Lee. During my first term, I was tasked to chair several permitted interaction groups. Under my leadership, a new governance model was unanimously adopted by the Board of Trustees that provided greater transparency and accountability. Part of this new governance model was the creation of the new Lahui level policies that laid a foundation of OHA's kuleana to Hawaiian language, protecting and exercising Native Hawaiian rights regarding land, water, sacred places, and iwi kupuna, while strengthening family and community, perpetuating culture, knowledge and practices, and engaging in national and international indigenous contexts. New policies were adopted to address the differences between OHA, the state agency, and OHA, the trust. I was also the chair of the group tasked with updating the Board of Trustees bylaws for the first time in 13 years. I helped to begin the move toward an endowment model for the Native Hawaiian Trust. After analysis of the trust, I wanted to know why OHA was investing it in hedges rather than taking advantage of being the 13th largest landowner in the state. OHA's land holdings are now included in the Native Hawaiian Trust portfolio. As a part of this work, I began the work to rebalance the Native Hawaiian Trust portfolio to redistribute OHA's investments, taking into account its land holdings to maximize greater profits while lowering the overall risk to the portfolio. I also orchestrated the acquisition of 2 land parcels in Iwilei, adjacent to OHA's headquarters. This is significant because all these properties are within Honolulu's transit-oriented development corridor, which will allow OHA to take advantage of all the entitlements that come with developing along the rail line. This is a major step forward for OHA to address the critical affordable housing crisis Native Hawaiians are facing. I have most recently been asked to chair an ad hoc committee to come up with policies and investigate OHA's constitutional right to issue revenue bonds. There has not been a community meeting on Oahu in over 4 years. As your new Oahu trustee, I commit to having a minimum of 6 community meetings a year, 1 in each moku: Waianae, Waialua, Ko'olauloa, Ko'olaupoko, Kona, and Ewa. I will take OHA to our beneficiaries. They will not have to come to OHA. While OHA has its 15-year strategic plan, Mana I Mauli Ola, in place, so much more still needs to be done. With your help, I will return to OHA, this time as your new Oahu trustee, and continue my history of collaborative leadership with issues that still need to be addressed, such as OHA's continued fight for public land trust equity, completing the rebalancing of the Native Hawaiian Trust portfolio, updating OHA's investment, debt, and cash management policies to align with OHA's new endowment model, developing a collaboration with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to address the affordable housing crisis, and developing Kaka'ako Makai with a viable master plan, and stop wasting resources on the unrealistic goal of waterfront affordable housing. I am Trustee Brendon Kaleiʻaina Lee, and with your support, I will be your new Oahu Island trustee. Mahalo.
Lalani Cultural Village, located in Waikiki, 1932 to 1955, was the first of its kind on Oahu. In the late 1960s, Ulumau Village developed at the Diamond Head end of Ala Moana Park, and later moved to He'ia State Park on the windward side of Oahu. They operated for 19 years. In the year 2004, former OHA trustee Rowena Akana commented that it seemed almost every community in the state has its own cultural center except us. OHA has a mandate to better the conditions of the Native Hawaiians. This should clearly be one of OHA's priorities. This borders on criminal. Shame on us for not creating a place of our own. Kalei Akaka Hawaiian Cultural Center 2019 to 2021 was attributable to creating the components of a Native Hawaiian Cultural Center. In December 2020, OHA trustees issued a formal eviction notice demanding that Kalei Akaka vacate their location at Kewalo Kai by January 31st, 2021. Shortly after the eviction, the former site of Kalei Akaka Ho'ina became a used car lot. My mission is to address the following issues in my campaign: establish world-class Native Hawaiian Cultural Center in each of the 4 ahupua'a on the islands of Oahu. Those ahupua'as are Waimanalo, Papakolea, Nanakuli, and Waianae. Education should be the top priority of a cultural center. To lead a grassroots effort to create a volunteer ex officio Native Hawaiian Cultural Association. The association will be the vehicle through which the Lihue will consolidate their island-wide power base and sit at the table wherever OHA renders final decisions on any or all legislative matters. State independent auditors and OHA trustee Keikilani's audit all reviewed 185 OHA transactions. They found that such lax management, potential fraud, waste, and abuse was going on unnoticed at the agency. Out of the 185 transactions, they listed 32 that contained red flags of potential fraud, waste, or abuse, totaling $7.8 million of OHA beneficiary funds. OHA continues to be remiss in effectively managing and carrying out their own 15-year strategic action plan in order to support Senate bill and House bills that would provide OHA the opportunity to develop residential housing on their Kaka'ako Makai Aina. On March 16, 2021, OHA's push to repeal the law that protected Kaka'ako Makai from residential development died in the state legislature. Most daunting is the fact that CEO Kamana'o Crab did not even meet the basic standards of procurement procedures in his business dealings as CEO of OHA. Honolulu Star Advertiser reporter Tim Hurley reports that OHA recently expanded its commercial portfolio with a $47 million purchase of 2 properties next to its North Shore Nimitz Highway. My grassroots strategy is simple: to create a people power base consisting of 3 concepts. Respect the intelligence of the people, get the facts to you, help the Lihue develop and implement an action program. Community outreach is the component of Princess Pauahi's legacy. Kamehameha School's 20 to 2015 strategic plan also focus on strategic priorities for improving the condition of Native Hawaiians. I, too, am attempting to create a Native Hawaiian cultural oasis where Hawaiian national identity can flourish and be celebrated amongst all Hawaiians. OHA, Hawaiian Lives Matter.